Entrepreneur MBA podcast purpose is to help existing business owners grow their companies past the 10 million in revenue per year benchmark. Here is your host, Stephen Halasnik.
Hi, my name is Stephen Halasnik, and I'm co-founder of Financing Solutions. Over the last 25 years, I've built 6 companies in the $5 million to $25 million range. And I can't tell you how important it is for businesses to have a line of credit so they can make an investment in their business or even for unexpected emergencies. Over those 25 years, I can't tell you how many times I used my own line of credit. And now it's become so much easier, at least with my company, Financing Solutions, to get a line of credit. Our line of credit program is easy to get in place, inexpensive when used, and costs nothing to set up, making it the ultimate great cash backup plan. If you would like to learn more about our line of credit program, please visit us at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com, or give us a call at 862-207-4118. If you apply today, we will even give you a $250 credit on file. But just remember, the time to set up a line of credit is before you need it. So that way, when you do need it, it's ready to go. Today, I am excited to be speaking with Morgan Sheets from Living Well Enterprises. Morgan Sheets is a media consultant and master wellness coach that teaches female entrepreneurs and males with established health, wellness, and fitness businesses how to land and leverage media coverage to increase their impact, income, and establish themselves as leaders in their field. Morgan, welcome to today's Entrepreneur MBA podcast.
Thanks, Stephen. I'm really excited to be with you today.
Yeah, so, one of the advantages, I was thinking about this before you got on, and I'm like, I try to be a big reader, right? And the way things have gone, I've had some personal things that have affected my time that is kind of serious, to be honest with you. And I can't read as much as I used to. And so I'm like, wow, these podcasts, because I'm so interested in the things that my guests have to say, they're replacing my reading, and I'm like, because I like this topic today, landing and leveraging media to grow your business. I mean, this is just something I just happen to be working on this week. So
I'm
I'm
so
like,
glad.
Great. Now don't you dare charge me.
Okay. Well, no, of course, you've got me free here today. So
Yeah,
pick my brain.
For the next 45 minutes. Yeah. But, our listeners will all learn through this. I think, I think small businesses in general, again, today's topic is landing and leveraging media to grow your business. And I think you have, and I wouldn't even guess the percentage, but maybe 20% of the small business owners that are out there actually do any type of marketing at all. And they just, think that, my company's going to grow organically. Whereas, whereas
there's a lot of hope marketing. And if they're doing any kind of marketing, it's a lot of social media marketing. And unfortunately, what's so frustrating to me, as a media production major, this is what I studied in school. And so I'm passionate about connecting people with information. But the sad thing about these business owners that do marketing, there's listening to bad marketing advice that's out there, and they're just spinning their wheels, wasting their times with the social media marketing that they are doing. And that's why I'm so excited to share this information with you. I love to hear that you're personally working on it, and I can't wait to, hopefully empower some small business owners and inspire them to pursue this traditional marketing avenue that's so effective and gets you a lot of visibility without investing in advertising. So hopefully we can reach some people that need it.
Well, I think one of the difference too is I spend 90% of my time in marketing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I do. That's my job, right? So, I love it. I'm very interested in, of course.
Me too.
This podcast is one of the reasons why, it's part of our marketing strategy from a variety of different angles.
Right.
But, so when I think that's the difference, I said, I think most business owners, I have a team of people behind me, But and listen, there's no two buts about it. If you're a $100,000 company or 200,000 or even $1 million company, and you want to get to that 10 million, there's all these phases. You get to 3 million, and you get to 5 million, you get to 7 million, you get to 10 million. You're not going to get there without a marketing effort. You're just not going to do it, and you're just going to keep spinning your wheels. Now, granted, it depends on your company. All right,
Mm-hmm.
like if you're selling cupcakes, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be a $5 million company. You're lucky you'll be a $250,000 company, depending on what you're doing. But if you're in a B2B world, it's easier to get to the 5 million to 10 million, that type of area.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off by talking, and just the other thing too. I think, Morgan, I think you and I would both agree that one of the biggest issues that people do, even when they're doing marketing, because you're talking about social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we've tried a number of times, is they don't measure the success, right? And so they
Oh, I
just
love
say,
talking about this. Yes, metrics. They're
yeah,
so
metrics,
important.
KPIs, measuring things, knowing how, listen, if you could do one thing today, even it's got nothing to do, it's got very little to do with marketing, a little bit, is if you could measure your cost of acquisition, what it costs you, and I guess this is starting to turn into the Steve Halasnik podcast, but right? But we're
I'll
gonna
take it
get
back from you in a
yeah,
minute.
but we're gonna get that's right. That's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna give it to you. If you can understand your cost of acquisition, that means how much does it cost you to acquire your clients? And let's add one other area too, based on the marketing channel you're working with, you
Mm-hmm.
will you will do tremendously. And I think you'll find, unfortunately, depends on your business, that social media isn't always the best marketing channel. What do you think?
I definitely agree that it is not the best marketing channel. And so I want to go back to metrics, and then we'll explain why social media isn't always the best. So for
Great.
the small business owner that is looking to maybe put in some place some marketing metrics to measure things other than the cost of acquisition. So to find out where the organic traffic or the social media or media, whatever efforts they're doing to measure the results on the back end, which is important because you have to study the numbers for feedback to know what's working or not. That's how you grow and scale, by figuring out what's working and doing more of it. So first of all, any business owner, before they even focus on doing more with something like media, needs to have Google Analytics on their website. They need to be looking at, things like how many new people are visiting, how long they're staying, where they're spending time on the website. And that also shows you what you need to have in place before you focus on something like media, is where traffic is being sent to you from and what organic search terms people are looking for. And when we're making marketing decisions, studying this information is so important to know where to direct your energy, so that whatever you're using, whether it's social media or any channel, you're able to directly look at the cause and effect. Okay, I did this happened, or I did this and this did not happen. The second simple tool is something like a link tracker. So a lot of people share links, but then they really have no idea how many people clicked on it, or if anybody did, unless they took the end action. But in between the person doing the thing that you want them to do, like buying your product or signing up for your email, there's so many steps of the customer journey between when they're aware of us and they want to nurture the relationship to when they discover they may want something, that we need to be looking at in our marketing metrics to make these informed decisions. So like a tool I enjoy using is Rebrandly. You can use your own domain and you can create custom links. So when I'm just sharing like a survey or sometimes an article or like my complimentary media clarity call link, I have that attached. So if I'm just sharing it on social media or anywhere else, I have direct metrics to know whether people clicked on it if they didn't sign up, right? Like we want people to sign up, but knowing 20 people clicked my link and no one took the next action isn't good information for me as
Yeah.
well. So tying the metrics into social media, the biggest problem that I see when first, let's step back a minute. One major problem with metrics and just discoverability as a business is the fact that most of us as consumers, when we go to buy something, we're typing that into Google or another search engine, right? Like I'm not going to Facebook to look for my next doctor or to buy my athletic shoes or Instagram. Now, I did enroll at a local hair salon and nail salon from Instagram because they ran advertising and that worked well. But the problem with social media and focusing your efforts there and not these traditional foundational marketing elements first, like your website or just discoverability on Google, like is your basic profile filled out? When you show up on the search result, can I quickly glance about something at your business or a link to your product, things like that. The problem with only focusing on social media is that you're going in this little tiny pond or a lake, and there may be a lot of people in that lake, but you could be out in the ocean. And so discoverability with social media, I find, is limited. Even as a consumer, like I said, when I'm looking for a restaurant or something else, like, will I look at their Instagram after I've discovered them through a search result? Sure. But most of the time when I'm traveling or looking for anything, I know myself as a consumer and a lot of other people, we turn to a search engine. So I think what's happening in the industry right now is people are flipping it around. They're kind of putting all this energy into social media, which is a small pool, without having these basic foundational elements in place. And whether for me it's media or social media, like small business especially, and I know I saw you're big on systems and processes, like before you look at doing more or putting your message out there, you need to have a simple place for like your website or a phone number, like something posted on the internet where your client can find you. And then you not need to have even a simple system for when they call to say, hey, how did you find me? What are you looking for? How can I help you with? And unfortunately, in today's day and age, I find that just these basic elements are overlooked and people turn directly to social media and spend an enormous amount of time
And money.
with no results, and they're frustrated, and then they give up or they dump more money into ads.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%. I think so. I think you got to like walk before you run. And so I look at the evolution of, listen, with all my companies, I was like one of the first people to really use this. We're talking 17 or more years ago. So, SEO, search engine optimization, which is natural searches on Google, and also SEM, paid for search. So, I was one of the first. And so, that's a huge strategy for us. But, I think you go in that direction, or even if you're going in that direction, I think what you want to do is you want to do the simple stuff. And you want to, so like, I'll give you an example. And this kind of, we've done direct mail. We've done, trade publication, magazine advertising. We've done email marketing. We've done social media advertising. We've done SEO, SEM. We've done affiliated marketing. Okay. We've done all of it. I can go on and on and on. We try all these different stuff. Right. And what's great is after 12 years, at least Financing Solutions, 12 years, we know it works. And we know what our cost of acquisition is. And we put our dollars into what works and what doesn't work. And then sometimes I kind of catch myself saying, okay, let me try this again. And I'm like, no,
Right.
No, stay with what is working. Right.
So have you not used earned media exposure yet then in your business? Like traditional media coverage and being published?
Well, I use it in a different way. If let me see if your terminology is what I think it is. Like PR press, is that what you're talking about? Yeah. So
where you're not paying for it, but the media, the magazine or the television reporter is just organically covering your business or your product.
So it is. So we use it in a different way. and it's turning into, this is one of the strategies we're going to really implement it better this year. So the answer to your question is we had done it off and on. It's it hasn't been executed, I think, very well. But I don't do it because I get it to what there's this little known fact that people don't know, and that is 25% of the ranking of your website has to do with link building. And that is how many times another organization or media is linking to your site.
And news, and you may know more because you're probably more SEO informed. As far as I'm aware, when we're talking about authority ranking, that
Correct.
ranks higher. And news,
Yes,
as an authority site, ranks even higher than authority level websites like a blog or something that has a high web ranking.
Yeah, so it's called a domain ranking. And by the way, what everybody should know out there is it's a made up number. Okay, it's not, we don't. But there's a couple of companies that use their own algorithm to determine a website's domain ranking. So when you take an example, the New York Times, out of 100 scores, ranked a 91, right? Which is one of the highest you can get. I mean, Google's ranked 100. Okay, but so my domain ranking is good, but we're trying to get up. I'll never be a 91 like New York Times. But so yes, it's based on a DR domain ranking, and 25%. Well, no, it's even higher. A domain ranking is directly affected. I think it's almost 100% based on the links that you have. And I don't even think it evaluates the quality of websites. Now, Google itself looks at 200 different things, but the weight of link building is a big deal. So coming back to your question is the reason why we are, doing PR. And this year, what we're doing is every quarter, we are collecting data, asking people who visit our website a question, and using that data to send out information. Like for example, right now we're doing, did your business make more money in 2020 than it did in 2021? Right. So the press release will go out and it'll say is, companies in small businesses under $5 million made more money in 2021 by, a 2 to 3 margin than they did in 2020. And that we hope that gets picked up by the media. But by the way, it's not free. I mean, you still got to pay for the media to get it out there. For the PR newswire is what we use. So
that's one way of getting your message into the hands of a reporter or contact, is to publish a press release. For small business owners that aren't wanting to invest a lot, like the really small ones starting out, something to know is you can send out your press release through some services free of charge, and that will result in your press release being shown on the internet. You will not get the same kind of access as a service like PR Newswire, but since not everyone has a budget, there are alternatives. But another way of getting in touch with the media, which is actually, what I implemented, is so you can have a PR rep, and then that PR rep builds relationships. Not every business owner has the budget to bring in a PR person. So the way that you get in touch with the media instead is to research the whichever publications, whether in media type, so whether we're talking radio, television, magazines, or newspapers. You do your research, find where your business fits. So if you have a local brick and mortar business, you want to research your local newspaper, television outlets, prominent radio stations if applicable, and then find the media contact. And then you build an organic relationship. I mean, I think a lot of people forget that the job of the media is to produce news, and they're always looking for really great contacts and experts to interview to either break a news story or to provide, expert quotes to support the story that they're writing, and creating relationships with these media contacts, and then really doing your homework to find out what the cover is and what the stories that they're working on. And then like the information that you just mentioned that you had about the data about the small business owners and the revenue between the 2 years, you can also directly then email the reporter and say, hey, we just finished this. I know you've been working on this recently. I wanted to share it with you. A business television news reporter. And then you can just directly contact them and build a relationship that way and get the coverage. So you can go wide, like kind of the shotgun approach, or you can be very strategic and targeted, and have equally effective, if not more effective results. Because, the number one reason that most business owners that, first of all, when they pitch, that they don't get coverage is because they don't personalize their pitch. Media representatives and journalists, they're inundated every single day with pitches and news releases. So like most of us, they're going to clear out their inbox and they're only focused on what they're working on right then, or something that catches their eye. And if they know your name and they know that you're not just spamming them, you're like infinitely more likely to have them open your email.
Yeah, you're right. So we're in 48 states. So, we, getting press coverage, again, I'm just trying to get links. So, I'm not trying to get businesses to come to me. I'm sure that it might happen, but that's not my strategy. By having my domain ranking move up, then our SEO results for all our articles get moved up. And so I get people that way, but companies come to me that way. But you're absolutely right. So if you're running a business that's more local,
actually not just local. So since people don't really know my background, I'd like to share how I started using media with my family business, which we grew and then sold, because it was the dominant marketing strategy that I chose. So we no longer have this business, but we had a high-end luxury lighting distribution business where we had the exclusive rights to distribute one Italian lighting line, and we sold it to the trade. So that's designers, architects, etc. And our territory was the United States and Canada. It was high-end lighting. So we had the most expensive pendant drop light was $6,000.
Wow.
And that's not just something that you can post on Facebook or Instagram and sell. When we first started this business, it was before Facebook was even open to the public, and it was still just for college students, which is when I was graduating college. So my background is I went to school, I started in journalism, and then I wound up switching to electronic media production and had concentrations in business and sociology. At 23, my mom invited me. I was 23, not her. She invited me to start this business with her that I mentioned. So we started absolutely from scratch, which was obtaining the exclusive distributorship. There was no brand awareness in the United States of this product at all, besides people like my mom, who was a high-end designer, who found it in Italy and sourced it for a really high-end project she was working on. So I leaned into what I knew, which was my background in media production. And a big part of that is studying the psychology of how people think about media. I also did a basic task that most business owners overlook, which is I knew my client very well because my mom was an interior designer my whole life. So as I was developing the marketing strategy for this business, I thought about how she sourced her product. Since we were selling to the trade, I really focused on how designers think, how they source their product. So what I knew growing up is designers are very visual, since they often don't have an immediate need for these amazing products they find. They love design magazines because they'll tear the pages out, or they'll find some kind of online form to save it. They look through it, they save it in their inspiration file. And then when they have a project that chair, light, whatever it is, works for, they pull it out. And since I was a journalism and media major, it was easier for me to focus on reaching out to local media than it was anything else because that was my background. So I got our product first covered in local magazines, and I developed a really good relationship. So not only did I get free coverage in local magazines, and there was two different ones, but I also let them use, we had more than lighting at this time. We had exclusive home furnishings. I let them use some of our products in their editorial photography. And in return, they gave me some free advertising. And then I had, product mention coverage. Then as we grew the business, to get to your point of going nationwide, I focused on media coverage in national publications. At that time, we'd grown the business enough to where I could hire an amazing PR rep, and she had the relationships with the editors and journalists and these high-end like Elle Decor, Architectural Digest, the ones that I wanted into that really made a big difference in our business on, this national level. And it was great experience working with her. And I also realized she taught me a lot. She's, definitely been a mentor with me as I was a marketing director. But what I learned is that the same things I did to land local media coverage actually applied to national media coverage. And while it was very helpful to have our relationships, and I learned so much from a veteran in the field, I realized that I could actually easily do it myself. But to get to your point about what that media coverage did, so we got covered in national magazines like Robb Report, Traditional Home, Veranda, Elle Decor, and then finally Architectural Digest. And Elle Decor specifically, I only know 3 years because we sold the company and I don't know what they're doing. But for 3 years, we had a full page feature on what we had, these illuminated outdoor trellises. And so Elle Decor, we didn't pay for this. I did pay the PR rep. But again, if you establish a relationship, a business owner can do this themselves. We had a full page feature of our product and Elle Decor. To run that today, an advertising cost in a magazine is around $115,000. I looked it up back in 2021. That one page feature yielded us business with people directly calling us up and buying, saying they saw us in Elle Decor for 3 years, and then we sold it. What also happened is because we are high-end luxury product, the brand positioning and the brand awareness brought high-level clients to us, which we would not have had, I don't think, without that high-level exposure. They were approaching us. We were not approaching them. And, Starbucks, Soho House, MGM Grand. Some of those, like MGM Grand, comes with the high-end designer. That's a designer relationship. But some of these other companies, their designers found us and reached out because of that magazine coverage. So that's kind of another example to share with you beyond the solely online way that magazine coverage or media coverage can send people to you and grow your business, beyond just ranking online.
I mean, it's really, thank you for sharing. That's a great example. I mean, I have to ask, do you think the company grew tremendously because you came on and you focused all that effort into PR?
I mean, it's really hard to say what wouldn't have happened, right? I will say that, so in a family business, first of all, it's hard.
Yeah.
Even it was just myself and my mom and then my stepdad. And then we would have one assistant at various times. And then we hired out with this PR rep. Marketing has always been my job. My mom had an interior design business before I came on. My stepfather had a consulting business when I was younger, and they were successful in their businesses. So I'm not going to claim 100% success for like my marketing efforts making the business succeed. But what I will say is that I do not believe we would have worked with some of the really high level clientele that we had the opportunity to work with. Yeah. If we had not had that high level media coverage. Yeah. And my mom had been published before I came along in her past business. She had already had newspaper wrote about her, Money Magazine, just different things, but she wasn't the one pursuing it.
Yeah.
And she does credit me with the fact that without me, because I think I honestly extremely introverted, and that's why I love media, because it's such a leveraged and strategic and quiet way to connect with so many people.
There's no way you are introverted.
I am extremely introverted.
Jeez. All right. Well, you do good on the podcast.
But I enjoy connecting with people. There's a difference. I'm not shy. I like people.
Well, let's put some real practical. That's not what you did practicality, like a real life example.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the advantages for me doing this podcast is I've been in the shoes of all of our listeners, right?
Yeah.
I know what it's like. And listen, I mean, look what I wrote down, because I'm taking notes, right? And I wrote down, you can't see it, but it says, learn about your client, right? It's like you instinctively know, yes, I need to spend time and knowing, where's my clients coming from? Why do they buy from me? Why do they return? What's the makeup of their businesses? Trying to find this model, right? The problem is time, right? You know the right thing to do, but then you sit there and you have this problem going on over here. You got financing issues going on over here. You've got payroll you got to make over here. You got, your significant other yelling at you to go pick up the kids. What I would love just to spend all of my time just focusing on the study of the analysis of my clients and our prospects.
But I think you can make it an automatic habit. So I think part of what helped me out, one is I love studying people. This isn't work. I'm not sitting down and doing it. This is like the random thoughts that are floating in your head while you're doing the dishes and taking a shower and just like driving. I'm like, I wonder. And I just let my brain process. But like I said, I took concentrations in sociology because I love studying human behavior that much. So I think what's helpful for me and what someone can take away is it doesn't have to be that hard. We're not talking about carving an hour of your time out. We're just talking about being curious. And you can do this as you're interacting with your customer. I'm curious how they found me. And don't be afraid to ask, hey, how did you connect me? Why are you here? Just be curious about their behavior. That is when you're starting out, the actual real people that you're interacting with and the leads that you do have and the people that who are like the clients, that maybe they have the same behavior, that's the best place to start. You don't have to do deep dive research or anything.
Yeah. I mean, and let's circle back to the PR marketing strategy. So I agree with you. There's a guy who I know, he's his name is Cameron Harold, and Cameron Harold was the one of the first employees at the company 1-800 Got Junk, and his job, and he's had 4 companies that went from almost zero in revenue. It wasn't his company, but he has worked for 4 companies that went from 1 or 2 employees to thousands of employees, and 4 of them went public. And his job is as a COO or a market. It's not really a COO; it's a marketing guy. Anyway, he wrote this book, and I know Cameron well as well, and it's about PR, and it's a very simple book. But one of the things that he said is just build a list. Build a list of one of the things that I find in PR is that your local newspapers and local media wants to get news about local businesses.
They do.
They really do. And if you, and so this is the issue you have with time. So, a number of years ago, I I had one of the people who worked for me. I said, so we provide our lines of credit to two types of organizations: small businesses and nonprofits, right? And so I said, okay, go out there, and this is based on Cameron's book. Go out there, and since nonprofits are a very, very small segment, that's easily for you to um, work on. It's not like large businesses. I'm sorry, small businesses, which there's like 5 million in the United States. There's only 43,000 nonprofits that fit our profile of a good client. And so I said, go out there and find all the nonprofit news places, and let's list them. Let's get their email addresses. And whenever we do a podcast, which we do 2 a month for that one, we'll send it out, So we did that, and I've done it twice. I've sent the press release out twice. I mean, it's a good strategy. It just hasn't been implemented because we just don't have the time and the people, and it's lost focus. And it's kind of an easy strategy, but so it goes back to what you're saying. If you can break it down to a smaller group.
Yeah. Or, just to take the example, so I challenge myself on efficiency when I'm doing a task. I set a timer, and it generally takes me half the time that I think it is. Sometimes things take 3 times, but these things that we're talking about, like PR. So you can break it down into a few different things. One day, make the PR list. Say you're going to spend 20 minutes, get 20 contacts. If you spend 2 hours and don't do anything with it, it doesn't matter. So take 15 minutes, find 10 contacts. Then I think the step, maybe you guys did this, but I would introduce yourself. So then another day, set aside time, review the person, like the representative. You can look at Muck Rack, which is a media outlet, learn more about them, their LinkedIn, Google their name, just see what they've written, find a genuine connection point of something that you can relate to them on. Introduce your business and say, hey, if you're ever working on a piece, or need some information in your case, share, we regularly poll clients, we get this kind of data, reach out. And then ask, I produce a podcast, I do this. Is it okay if I connect and share with you when the next one's released? If you're going to put in time, taking that time, I set a timer, take 10 minutes, break it down if you need to, and list of 20 into 2 people a day, 3 a week. Done is better than not done.
Yeah.
So however slow, you have to do it. Taking that step to build a relationship will, even when you actually take the time to put the press release or send that email with the podcast, is going to increase your chances. So just leverage the actions that you take by having people need to add that step in for sure.
Yeah. And just so that our audience knows, after I'm finished with this podcast, I'm going to talk to Morgan about taking this job over. So we'll see where it goes. But it's,
I'm more of a consultant than an executor. That's the difference between a PR person and a consultant.
Well, like I said, talk. So, we'll see where we go.
But if you have a team member with a good consultant, you can outsource to your team.
Could be.
As well.
Yeah, could be. Well, that would be your job to consult me about that. So, but I'm just tired of it being a good strategy, and we haven't implemented it well. And, it fits a lot of things that I'm looking for this year. I need to do a better job. We have a very, very small team for a $25 million company. Mm-hmm. And that's by choice. So, one of the things in 2022 that I'm starting to say is, all right, listen, I got to get some outside help and delegate some of this stuff because it's not getting done and I'm going crazy. So, so anyway, we'll talk about how expensive you are with your $6,000 lighting fixtures. So maybe you can just give me a lighting fixture for free or something.
I don't have those
anymore. I know you sold them already, but you must have some in the basement still. So I don't know.
Well, I can't say that publicly.
There you go. But we spent a lot of time on PR. Mm-hmm. Right. Because, by the way, it can be free, right?
That's earned media versus paid media, just for people.
Yeah.
looking to differentiate.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I think what I always uh, do is I would say, okay, let me take 2 hours out of today and just brainstorm about the potential marketing initiatives we could do. And then I kind of go back at each one and I say, okay, how would this work? I'll dive into it. One of the problems I have with social media is they don't tell us in the social media the revenue size of the company, and that causes a big problem. So
Mhm.
it and sometimes the amount of employees that someone has that is not indicative of the revenue size. And there's a you know the people who are taking out our lines of credit are you know businesses and nonprofits that are between, like, their average size is like $1.5 million. It's really important for me to know that. I don't want to get somebody that has $50,000 in revenue because they're not going to qualify.
Right.
And so social media, because they don't tell me that information. And listen, I know probably you can go a little more advanced and cross reference it through another source. I've never been able to I haven't tackled that problem yet. And nor are we big fans of the idea that if somebody wants a line of credit, you know, because we feel that if someone wants a line of credit, they typically are going to go into Google, type in business line of credit, that it's the people who need it now that are going to sign up for the line of credit. We know that, unfortunately. I wish people would get the line of credit in advance. It just makes it a lot easier for everybody. So that's,
Yeah.
you know,
So I'm just going to give you feedback on media in kind of a different
yeah,
way,
agreed.
like
Yeah.
with what you're working on. Let's talk about that. So while I'm not familiar with your specific industry or the trade publications or the publications, I can say that, in other magazines, going back to like the El Decor example or any magazine like that, the advantage is that you can download their media kit and you can see like the household annual revenue. And because I'm not focused on like the business segment of media, it's been, more customer focused, or, the shelter magazines. I'm guessing a magazine like Forbes, Entrepreneur, any of that, they have the same kind of data, but more business oriented. So, like, to me, what I'm hearing and what it sounds like a media strategy would look like, let's use a real example. You've got those trade publications that you talked about. You download the media kit, but instead of looking at it like paying them money, you go, okay, is this who I'm trying to reach? And then you look at the editorial calendar, or you can look at the calendar for the past year. And in your case, what I'm hearing you say is like, I'm so frustrated business owners don't think about getting a line of credit until they need it. But what they really need to do for themselves and for me to help them is think about this when they're at this phase of the business. And
Mhm.
that, not that.
And that's a
That's
press
a
release.
that
Yeah.
no, that's a story.
That's how I meant. That's a story.
So,
Yeah.
um, so a press release is a little bit more the shotgun, the broad. So how I would approach it is very directly. We do the media research, like I said, publications. What have they type it? What have they talked about on this topic? Have they written anything? If they've written something on this topic, what can I add that they should have said that they didn't? And then you reach out to whoever wrote that article. You said, hey, saw your article on this. This is really important. Most business owners don't know that. Just wanted to throw you the story idea. If I can help you with some supporting information, you want to run it, let me know. Like when we're thinking of media, that's kind of the thought process that you want to look at, so that you can, like you're saying, I've got it covered online because people find me that way when they need me. But I'd be reaching out with a proactive story, even on, if there's broadcast media that covers your field, and 5 reasons why a business owner needs to focus on financing at this phase of business. Or the thing most business owners don't know, like, research tells you the pitch to throw out there. but those are kind of steps broadly that
Yeah,
I would
it's good.
follow.
I mean, I do want to make sure that I mentioned to our listeners that there's an organization, not there's a company called Haro, Haro,
Yes.
and I've done it for 2 years now. I've kind of gotten frustrated with it, but I have gotten some results on it. Haro
Mhm.
is an organization
It's
that
called help a reporter out.
yeah, help a reporter out,
And
and you
those
can
are reactive media opportunities where you
yeah,
respond
and
to queries.
yeah. So what happens
Yeah.
is that they'll email you 3 times a day. Um, uh, what reporters are looking for sources on.
Mm-hmm.
So if your expertise is in lighting and you're reading through these lists of maybe 10 to 15 different inquiries, it's not hard to do it. You might see one that they're saying, "Hey, looking for someone who can talk about the what's going on in the lighting industry," which this is
Mm-hmm.
very specific. But and then you can just
Or in the finance industry, the
yeah,
lending
or
industry,
whatever.
or
Yeah,
whichever
it's
industry.
all different. It's
Yeah.
fit,
Th- they
fitness,
cover the
and
broad. You can
they
get
really
it
do.
general, you can get specific health and
Yeah.
fitness, business specific, IT. It covers a broad range of
Yeah. And
industries.
you can just respond to them whenever you see something that matches you, and you just fill out, 150 characters or 300 characters, whatever they give you, with a question that they're asking, and if they publish it, then they'll mention your company. That's the goal. So
Right. So you
yeah,
can be
yeah,
quoted. Sometimes it's not just to be quoted, but a full feature article. It
yep,
depends. There's all types of, media, both outlets, television, print, online print media, and opportunities. You may be quoted in a book. You may be quoted in a magazine. It's pretty broad.
yep, agreed.
Um, to people that want to do that, I mean, it can be very overwhelming. So a few simple strategies to manage using a tool like that is one, block out time in your calendar and choose the time of day. So I'm an early bird, so I'm the 5 a.m. Haro. Like every morning, I'm between 5 and 7 a.m. reading it. I set aside time. So if I see anything for my clients or myself, I respond. If it's something that takes a longer bit of my time, I copy the query. I'm like, okay, when can I get to this as soon as possible? Because part of the Haro game is that once the journalists get the qualified responses that they need, it doesn't matter how good yours is, they're done. So the early bird does get the worm. You want to schedule your time as close. I think it's 5, 10, no, 5 noon and maybe 5 p.m. that they come
Yes,
out. So you want
yes,
to schedule your time, and doing it is better than not doing it, is what I always tell my clients. So if you can only show up one day a week for one edition, but you can dedicate 20 minutes, then do that. Because over 52 weeks, you're going to have better results than not doing it at all. It takes me on average 3 to 5 minutes to scan the email. I know because I have time. 2.5 if it's a bad Haro day. So once you read it, say, okay, this works for me, copy it into a document. And then the first thing you want to do is qualify yourself when you're responding. So, hey, this is me. This is my short bio. This is my business. This is who I serve. Then write a short, quotable, concise answer. And it can't be specific. When the worst offenders in health and wellness, like people give health tips, drink more water. Nobody cares about publishing drink more water. They're not like, if you can tell me like alkaline water, like why you should drink that, or mineral water, like something. So in your response, be very as crystal clear, specific, concise, and factual as possible, because that's how media works. You're short, you're quotable, you're direct to the point. And then right off, say, hey, I'm available if you need anything else. And then when the reporter responds, reply to them right away. And that will also greatly increase chances when people do use the tool to make sure that they have a higher rate of being published. And
yeah. I
then
mean,
they won't always let you know. So the last tip on Haro for people is that if anytime you pitch yourself, and you make sure you have Google alerts set on your company, you need your name, your company's name. And then whenever I submit a client and put reach out to any media publication, I take the journalist's name and the media outlet's name, and I put a Google alert on that. And then I set a Google alert on my business name or my name and the media outlet's name. Because if a lot of times on Haro, if you're used, they won't let you know. And unless you're Googling yourself or have a Google alert, you may have gotten coverage and you won't even know it. So last Haro tip.
Yeah, I mean, I do have one or two too. I mean, one is less is more, and that is, if look when you read them, if it just pick the ones that you think you really are an expert on, that you really can add value to. And the second one is
yes,
the second one is I created I have a Google Drive. I have a Google folder in my Google Drive that I share. So when I send in a response, I cut and paste the URL of that folder, which has my picture in it, which has the bio of myself, the bio of the company, and I might have some other stuff in there I don't remember, so that they just have everything right there, right? And I don't have to keep repeating who I am and my bio and stuff like that. Of course, if they get back to me, which they have, and ask me for more things, I'm happy to do that. I like it. So it's been a really
those are helpful tips as well.
I mean, it's like you said, it's like efficiency. I got away from it a little bit. I still have them coming in. I just, I got a little frustrated because I was doing quite a number of them. I wasn't exactly. I thought I was following my role. I just have a lot of I think expertise, and they weren't picking them as much, and I got a little frustrated. So I kind of got away.
That's common. That happens a lot. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, I'll probably I started looking at it again, and now I'm trying to be very particular. So about which ones I respond to,
which is very important. I think going back to the targeted, focused approach. You need to have a clear goal that you're trying to reach. So when we're looking at Haro, you can look at the media outlet. Is being associated with this media outlet going to elevate my brand or my personal brand as an expert? That's a good reason. And then, like you mentioned, only reply to something that you have the qualified education or experience to respond to. If you love gardening, but you're not a horticulturist and that's what they're looking for, and you're not even working on that in your business, don't reply. Some people just like replying, or they find things that are close and they think that it's going to help them out, but it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I also forgot that the other thing I look at that organization, if I can find it, their domain ranking. Yeah. Because my strategy has changed from, okay, this is how I'm going to get clients coming to us or prospects coming to us, to I'm just trying to get more links. And if their domain ranking isn't high, then I don't care about getting a link from them. It doesn't help me out. So, right. New York Times comes in, I'm like, oh my God.
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be like, I'm going to really craft my message, but they don't really kind of go on this. I don't find them to be there very often. So,
they do. They are on there.
Oh, do you see that? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
not the New York Times, but the Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal. Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, listen, it was a great conversation. We certainly spent a lot of time on this topic, but 54 minutes, which is long, which is great. Hopefully people who listened got a lot out of it. I'd like to thank so very much Morgan Sheets from Living Well Enterprises for coming on to today's podcast. If you like today's podcast, please feel free to share it with a friend, and also subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. And of course, if you're looking for a line of credit for your business, you can call us at 862-207-4118 or visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Morgan, if someone wants to get in touch with you or learn more about you, how would they go about doing that?
They can connect with me at getyourmessageinthemedia.com. And if there's a small business owner that has an established business with a validated product in the health, wellness, and fitness space that is interested in media, but it's not sure whether the business is at the right phase to take advantage of it, on the homepage of my website, they can sign up for a complimentary media clarity call and talk to me free of charge about whether this is a strategy that is appropriate for them at the phase of business, and ask me any questions about what implementing it could look like for them.
Sounds great. Well, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
If our listeners are interested in getting any new business ideas, I tweet daily, almost daily, about lessons for business owners at Halasnik, Halasnik. And everybody, it's the beginning of a new year. The thing I love about the new year is that if you had a good year, you say, I get to do it again. If you had a bad year, you say, I get to start all over again. I am so happy. I want to get rid of 2021. So everybody, have a fantastic day. Remember, take good care of yourself. You're no good to anybody if your health is not good.